坏掉的嗓子只能沉默。
Zhou Xun has never disappeared from Chinese cinema, and yet, she is rarely seen at its center. While new faces dominate headlines and algorithms decide who deserves attention, Zhou Xun remains, quietly present, almost untouched by the noise that defines modern Cbiz. Her absence from constant visibility is not the result of decline, nor retreat forced by scandal. It is something far more, unsettling in an industry built on exposure, indifference to the spotlight. For decades,
恕我直言，男人最在乎的还是女人的样貌。
her performances have shaped the emotional memory of Chinese film and television. Audiences recognize her voice, her eyes, the way she inhabits a character without announcing herself. And yet, she does not trend. She does not command fan wars. She does not occupy the spaces where influence is measured in numbers. This contradiction sits at the heart of her story. Zhou Xun exists in a category the market struggles to process. She is indispensable to the craft, but optional to the system. In an era where relevance is sustained by constant circulation, her refusal or inability to compete for attention places her at a quiet distance from the center of power. She is respected, but not prioritized, remembered but not promoted. This distance creates an uneasy question. If one of the most accomplished actresses in Cbiz can be so easily sidelined by the mechanics of visibility, what does that say about the values guiding the industry today? Zhou Xun does not resist the system. She does not criticize it. She simply moves at a different rhythm, one that no longer aligns with the market's pace. To understand her position, we must look beyond fame and failure. Zhou Xun's story is not about falling out of favor. It is about existing in a space where talent remains unquestioned, yet increasingly insufficient. And in that space, her quiet presence becomes both her strength and her limitation. Zhou Xun's talent has never been in doubt. From the beginning, her performances carried an instinctive depth that could not be trained or replicated. She did not rely on grand gestures or carefully constructed personas. Instead, she worked inward, allowing emotion to surface naturally, often in ways that felt unpolished, vulnerable, and real. This authenticity became her signature, but it also became her risk. In Cbiz, talent is most protected when it is wrapped in structure, strong management, constant exposure, and a clearly defined commercial image. Zhou Xun never built that armor. She did not package herself as a product designed for repetition. Her voice, her physical presence, even her choices in roles resisted standardization. As the industry evolved toward predictability and scale, her uniqueness became difficult to monetize. This left her exposed. While others adapted by reinforcing their visibility, Zhou Xun remained focused on the work itself. She chose scripts based on emotional resonance rather than market timing. She allowed gaps between projects, trusting that quality would speak for itself. But in a system that rewards momentum over memory, silence between appearances is often interpreted as absence. Her talent continued to earn admiration from directors and peers, yet it provided little protection against shifting priorities. Without a constant narrative to sustain her relevance, Zhou Xun became vulnerable to the quiet erosion that affects artists who do not compete for attention. The industry did not push her out. It simply moved forward without waiting. This is the paradox of her position. Zhou Xun possesses the very qualities that define great acting, yet those qualities offer no shield in a market driven by speed and scale. Her talent is undeniable, but it stands unarmored in an environment where survival increasingly depends on visibility rather than depth. The shift did not happen overnight, but its impact was unmistakable. As Cbiz moved deeper into the age of traffic and data, success began to mean something very different from what it once had. Influence was no longer measured by performances remembered, but by numbers accumulated. Visibility became currency, and those who could generate constant attention were rewarded with opportunity. Zhou Xun did not adjust to this change, not because she failed to understand it, but because it conflicted with how she worked. She did not cultivate online presence, nor did she participate in the rituals that sustain algorithmic relevance. Her appearances remained selective, her public statements minimal. In a market that demanded perpetual engagement, restraint became a disadvantage. As younger actors rose through platforms designed for speed and repetition, the gap widened. Zhou Xun's work carried weight, but it arrived less frequently. Each project stood alone, disconnected from the momentum that drives contemporary careers. Without a continuous stream of exposure, even excellence struggled to compete with ubiquity. The market did not reject her. It simply reorganized itself around different priorities. Zhou Xun found herself positioned outside the main flow, not because she lacked relevance, but because relevance had been redefined. Her value became archival rather than current, something to be respected rather than invested in. This moment marked a quiet turning point. Zhou Xun was no longer misaligned with individual projects or roles, but with the structure of the industry itself. And once that alignment was lost, no amount of talent could fully restore her to the center of a system that had already moved on. As the industry accelerated, Zhou Xun settled into a paradoxical position. She became one of the most respected figures in C-biz, yet one of the least visible. Directors spoke of her with reverence. Actors cited her as a benchmark. Critics continued to regard her performances as standards of craft. But respect in this new landscape did not translate into presence. Zhou Xun was no longer placed at the center of major promotional cycles. She did not dominate posters, headlines, or trending lists. Instead, she existed in a quieter register, acknowledged within professional circles but largely bypassed by the mechanisms that drive mass attention. Her reputation remained intact, even elevated, while her visibility diminished. This separation revealed a structural divide.
Cbiz inceleasingli.
Distinguished between those who generate traffic and those who represent legacy. Zhou Xun was firmly placed in the latter category, admired but rarely prioritized. The system did not question her ability, it questioned her utility. In an environment that measures value through reach and repetition, her selective presence made her difficult to justify as a central investment. What makes this phase significant is that nothing dramatic occurred. There was no scandal, no decline in performance, no public rejection. Zhou Xun was simply repositioned. She became someone the industry spoke about rather than someone it actively built around. The spotlight moved elsewhere, and she did not follow. In this space, Zhou Xun remained unchallenged artistically but increasingly detached from the industry's momentum. Her career did not collapse. It stabilized at the margins, sustained by respect rather than demand. And in Cbiz, that distinction quietly determines who remains visible and who becomes peripheral. At a certain point, Zhou Xun stopped being pulled away from the center and began choosing distance herself. This decision was never announced, never framed as resistance or withdrawal. It revealed itself gradually through absence, through the kinds of projects she accepted, and through the rhythm of her public life. While the industry demanded acceleration, she moved inward. Her work became increasingly selective. Roles were chosen for emotional truth rather than exposure. She appeared less often, but when she did, the focus was not on reinvention or relevance, but on continuity. Zhou Xun did not attempt to compete with younger stars or reshape her image to match market expectations. She allowed time to pass without filling it with explanation. This choice came with consequences. Reduced visibility meant reduced leverage. Opportunities narrowed, not because she lacked ability, but because she no longer fit into promotional machinery built on constant engagement. Yet Zhou Xun accepted this trade quietly. She did not position herself as a victim of change, nor did she attempt to reclaim attention through nostalgia or spectacle. By prioritizing her inner world, she stepped outside the transactional logic of fame. Her career ceased to be a strategy and became a practice. This was not a retreat from acting, but a refusal to let acting be absorbed entirely by the demands of the system. In doing so, she preserved the core of what made her work meaningful, even as it moved further from the spotlight. Zhou Xun's distance, then, is not merely a result of market forces. It is also the outcome of a deliberate alignment with herself. And while this choice limited her reach, it allowed her to continue working without compromise in a space where depth mattered more than visibility. Xun's career does not resolve into triumph or tragedy. It settles into clarity. Her path reveals a quiet truth about Cbiz. The system does not eliminate artists who fail to adapt. It simply stops centering them. In a market governed by attention, those who move at a different rhythm are not punished, but gradually displaced. Her story exposes the widening gap between artistic value and market value. Zhou Xun possesses the former in abundance, yet the latter has become increasingly conditional. The industry continues to admire her, but admiration alone no longer secures influence. What matters now is visibility sustained through constant engagement, something she neither pursues nor performs. This does not diminish her legacy. If anything, it sharpens it. Zhou Xun represents a type of artist whose worth is not designed for algorithms. Her performances endure not because they circulate endlessly, but because they remain intact in memory. In choosing depth over reach, she preserved something that cannot be optimized. What her path ultimately reveals is not the failure of talent, but the cost of independence in a system that prioritizes speed. Zhou Xun did not disappear, nor was she removed. She remained present, but outside the main current. And in doing so, she offers a reminder that not every career is meant to dominate the market. Some are meant to outlast it. Her quiet presence stands as a counterpoint to an industry obsessed with noise. It asks whether success must always be measured by attention, and whether there is still space in Cbiz for artists who refuse to trade their inner world for constant visibility.